let's get covered. You got that gaze.
One day, baby, we'll be old. Oh, baby, we'll be old and think of all the stories that we could have told.
My name's Bruce Fox. I came to Hong Kong in 1972. Currently work for a French removals company called AGS.
Okay.
Came here as a child, 7 years old with my parents. What an experience, I tell you, 1972.
Yeah. And so how comes your parents had to come over here? And
My father was offered a job on a 2-year contract
okay.
with the Hong Kong Telephone Company. And it was really a big experience for all of us, because I remember when my dad said to me, we're going to Hong Kong, I went, what part of England's that?
Yeah.
Yeah, so we didn't really know where it was. The first flight we took from England to Hong Kong took 36 hours.
Wow.
We had 7 stops in transit.
7 stops.
7 stops.
Okay.
So in those days, travel just took such a long time.
So you wouldn't come back to the UK quite often, actually?
The way the contract worked, you worked for 2 years without a holiday, and you had 3.5 months holiday.
Okay.
And you had 2 years and 3.5 months, so we had some great holidays.
Yeah.
But I think quite a lot of pressure to work 2 years without holidays.
Yeah.
It's a lot of Hong Kong public holidays as well, so it's pretty good. But it was a heck of an adventure coming here in the 70s. It's such a different place. Such a different place.
One day, baby, we'll be old. Oh, baby.
And so you arrived here, so you were 7 years old?
Yep.
And then you stayed for 2 years because of your parents?
Yeah, then they renewed my father's contract.
Okay.
Stayed another 2 years.
So which made you 11 years old?
Yeah,
Right.
and then he renewed again.
Okay.
And then they offered him, I think I was about 13 or 14, and they offered my dad a permanent contract.
Okay.
So he wasn't on a 2-year contract, he changed, because originally he worked for the GPO, the General Post Office from the UK,
Okay.
on a 2-year secondment to Hong Kong Telephone. Then they basically offered him a full-time job and he took it.
Okay.
So he stayed and that was it.
So you all like the place here?
Yeah.
And never miss the UK? I mean, you were too young maybe to remember.
My mum was difficult. It was difficult for my mum to adjust to Hong Kong. It took maybe 6 years. I want to go home, it's too different. Yeah, it was a very different place. I mean, expat life was very different then than it is now. You know, we had all huge houses
And were there more British people by then?
oh, definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely. I mean, in the Hong Kong Telephone Company, all the people we mixed with were all British. There was a huge population of British here. You know, the government workers, police, China Line Power, Hong Kong Electric, all the big companies. Nearly all the senior management were Brits. And most of the companies. Hong Kong Land, Jardines, Swires, all those big companies, mostly Brits.
Yeah. And so language was never an issue, I mean.
I think you can get by better in English then than you can now.
Oh yeah?
Because all the schools taught English as well.
Yeah.
So, I mean, everybody was also lazy, didn't want to learn Chinese too.
And did you have a chance yourself to learn Cantonese?
It was never thought of something to do.
Yeah.
Everyone to speak English, it's fine. It's a British colony to speak English, you know. Colonial life.
One day, baby, we'll be old. Oh, baby.
No, I mean, I left rushing forward to like the late 90s. I got a job in Singapore, but my wife and daughter stayed in Hong Kong, so really it was like I lived there and I would travel back now and again. Then they came to join me in Singapore, and then we left Singapore and went back to the UK, following a job.
Okay.
That was the culture shock for me, was going from Hong Kong after 25, 30 years back to the UK to live in England, going, okay, what's going on? Didn't really understand how it worked.
One day, baby, we'll be old. Oh, baby.
To be honest with you, it's not a safe place to live compared to Hong Kong. Hong Kong's really safe. Crime in the UK is higher. Cost of living seems higher. You never seem to have any money. Hong Kong just have money.
Because here one of the issues in Hong Kong is the rental, which are very high. And do you think that this is on the same basis as in the UK, or a different scale and much more expensive over here?
Well, I think in the UK, most people when they live in the UK, they want to buy a house. They don't want to rent. Most people would try to buy. Okay, that's got more difficult in the last couple of years. Yeah, rent in Hong Kong is crazy. But I live in the New Territories, and I have currently I live in a 700 square foot 3-bedroom village house with a roof. I pay $6,000 a month.
Oh, that's cheap.
Yeah,
But
it's
I'm just about to move to the same size, 700 square feet, with access to a roof for $4,000 a month.
Still over there.
Still in the new territories. 10 minutes walk from the train.
Yeah. No, that's good.
But
most expats who tend to live in the mid-levels,
Yeah, I mean-
they got crazy rents.
Yeah.
Something you wouldn't experience anywhere else.
that's what you'll find when you move out to the new territories, Cyclone, Taipo, Fanling, Shungshui, that lot, and you meet expats. They would have been here 15, 20, 25 years.
Yeah.
They want to be fed up with living in the city. They want to live with trees. They want to be in a country.
Countryside in Hong Kong.
Yeah.
Out of Hong Kong.
Yeah, we live in the country. You live in a Chinese village, and it's really relaxing. So
Before you used to live in central Hong Kong?
when we first came to Hong Kong, we lived in May Road, up by the Peak Tram.
Okay.
Branksome Towers. Interesting story there. We were in the original Branksome Towers, which was an old 3-story
I
colonial
know,
building.
yeah.
We were there for 6 months,
Uh-huh.
and then we had to move out. So we moved to Robinson Road. 5 days after the Poshan Road landslide. So I think 13 people died in the landslide from Poshan Road down to Cobra Road. When we moved into Robinson Road, there was still mud coming down the roads, and emergency vehicles and all that.
Okay.
So we lived there, Robinson Road, for 25 years. Then my dad had had enough, so we moved to Sha Tin, to a 3,500 square foot house.
That's when you started to experience the new territory.
Yeah, basically, yeah. But
Okay.
it's really strange. Getting my mum, because in the 80s, 70s and 80s, if you lived on Hong Kong Island, you never went to Kowloon. If you lived on Kowloon, you never went to Hong Kong. It was definitely an us and
Like two different cities, two
totally
different
different.
worlds.
Yeah. I'm not going to live over there. I'm going to do this. So yeah, it was interesting. It was good. But then finally convinced her to go out to Sha Tin.
Okay.
Been in new territories ever since. It's a really easy place to live. You know, it's not too controlling. It's dynamic. There's a lot of things. People say there's not much to do, but there's a lot of things to do here. You know, I go cycling, hiking. You can go sailing. It doesn't cost a lot of money.
And do you think your experience would be different if you were not to speak Cantonese, or not to understand Cantonese? For an expat who comes over and just speaks English?
I mean, I don't use my Cantonese very often.
Yeah.
It's just when I go into situations, or I don't use it very much. It's just nice to be able to sit here and listen to what's going on.
Yeah.
And not let them know that I understand.
Okay.
So, I just think but the thing is, it's a safe city. It's a good place to bring up kids. From that perspective, it's safe. There's not a massive crime problem. There's not a massive drugs problem, you know, and it's self-policing. A lot of the people look after themselves. Okay, negatives would be there's a lot of pollution, it's overcrowded, it's hot, and expensive for living. But
Sure.
from a positive side, I just think, you know, China's a couple of less than an hour away on a train. Go to Macau, get on the plane, you can be in the Philippines in an hour and a half. So if you've got a bit of money, you know, it's not expensive to fly to the Philippines to travel. Easy to travel.
And when you were raising the point about pollution, over the years, do you think this is a situation that worsened?
Definitely got worse.
Yeah.
Got worse. I think a lot of that has to do with manufacturing in China, the growth of China. It doesn't help, but also a lack of foresight from the government here to regulate it in time. It's getting better. They're doing things, but a bit too slow.
And for somebody who would be able to compare with a city like Beijing, for instance, do you
It's
think
much better than Beijing.
Much better than Beijing.
Oh yeah, much better than any major city in China.
Okay.
Have you been to Beijing last year?
Yeah. Terrible. Huh?
You don't go outside. You shouldn't go outside. Yeah, it was. I was a blonde kid. I was little. My brother had blonde hair, and all the Chinese would tap us on the head, rub the hair. It was like gold. It was lucky. And they used to do this thing like grabbing your cheeks all the time. Going, yeah. So it was an annoying thing, but you know. I was, in a way, I was quite lucky because my dad was really open to the culture, and he basically brought us into it. So I don't think I had any real issues with it. I mean, with everybody, you find things that you don't like about what goes on, but that could be anywhere.
Yeah.
But culturally, I didn't find any real big issues.
And as a kid, you were in an international school?
Yeah, all the way through. Glenelg is an ESF school, the island school. And then when you, like most kids, parents on expat packages, when you reach like 12 or 13, you go back to the UK to boarding school.
Okay.
Which is quite a good experience.
So local kids do not attend this school, or do they?
Not in those days, no. It would be all expat kids. You wouldn't have any, I wouldn't say you would have any local kids in the ESF schools.
Would you hang out with them, I mean, after school? With some
very
local
little
kids?
mixing because it just didn't happen.
Yeah.
Because there was Island School and KG5 were the two main schools, and they were all expat kids. 99% would be expat kids. There might be some Indians, expat, but all expats, non-Chinese. In the early 70s and the 80s, then it changed. Then you go to the football club or the cricket club or the country pub, and it's all the same kids.
Yeah.
So you don't get an opportunity to mix with the locals in those days because it just didn't happen. But it happens a lot more now, much better now. Try to come here with a job.
With a job, yeah. Because you think it's too difficult otherwise without a job?
Yeah, I think unless you're really qualified in a specific field, then it's going to be really difficult to get work here in something that you want. If you get a job when you come here, once you're working, your network's really easy. It's really easy to meet people in Hong Kong, so you can then change your job if you want to. Come here with a really open mind. Don't come here thinking, oh, I wish I could get, I don't know, fish and chips or whatever. You can get.
Still, you can find out.
Yeah, but you can't come here thinking, oh, it's not the same as England, because it's not the same as England or Australia or America. You've got to come here with an open mind. Be prepared to work quite hard.
Yeah, tell us more about the
culture, the work culture.
house.
Let's say what I know. You come from the UK, you're going to find it hard to do the hours because people generally don't do a 9 to 5. But a lot of the office culture is let's go home when the boss goes home, and not before. So you get people staying in the office 6, 7, 8, 9 o'clock at night. So it depends on the company, depends on the business.
Yeah.
But
because like in the UK, for people working in finance, for instance, this is the kind of thing that you can see already.
Yeah. But a lot of the finance jobs here, you have to stay working late because the market's open at different times.
Yeah.
So 5 o'clock here, New York's just opening, or Europe's just opening. So 9 o'clock at night, New York's opening.
Yeah.
So you've got to stay to do that. But that's the job you choose. But I would imagine you start later.
Yeah.
You start at midday or something. Whatever your business is. But, people work long hours. They don't necessarily work smart.
Yeah.
To be honest with you, they work long. They don't work smart all the time. But it's go go go. So other tips coming to Hong Kong? It's hot. Trust me, it's hot.
It is.
It's hot. You can say I've been to 35 degrees. But yeah, 35 degrees and 90% humidity is different. Yeah, be prepared to sweat a lot.
Aircon is mandatory.
Aircon, must have aircon. Yeah. Anything outside of the finance, you're not going to get much expat contracts.
Yeah.
Difficult. They're few and far between. They're still there, of course. Otherwise, you wouldn't have people living on the peak.
Yeah.
But for the average man in the street, you're going to have to go on a local contract. Live in local level accommodation.
That means for you,
I'm a local
and you always had local contracts?
Never had an expat contract.
Which in terms of annual leave, for instance?
It's rubbish. You get 12 days as the starting point.
Yeah.
But I think the only good thing about Hong Kong is you get 16 days of public holiday.
Yeah.
So, you get a lot of public
And if they're on Sundays, then they get postponed on Mondays.
Supposed to be, but it doesn't always happen.
Oh yeah. Okay. Fish and chips?
Not really. I miss the fact that in the UK I can jump in a car and I can drive for 4 hours and not get wet. I can drive around the country and do stuff. The only thing is, you get used to that. I don't think I miss it. It's nice to go back to the UK and do that for a couple of weeks and then go, right, I've got to get back to Hong Kong.
But today, is Hong Kong what you consider to be your home?
Yeah, it has been for years. I guess the only thing I really miss is good quality, cheap food in supermarkets, because the quality of the food here, and it's so expensive.
It is.
It's just crazy. But I mean, the quality is good. And if you want to buy really good quality food, it'll kill your bank. It's crazy. For me?
Yeah, for you.
Okay, the alarm goes off at 5:30 in the morning.
That's fine, yeah.
To which I usually swear at it quite a lot. roll around in bed going, oh no, and then head for the shower, and head for a 6:20 or 6:35 minibus. Because where I live is in the New Territories in Taipo. It's a long way away from where I work. But I'm quite happy to sacrifice that commuting distance for weekend quality of life. And also cheap rent. I mentioned, the rent's much cheaper out there. You get a better sized property for your money. And I do a lot of cycling, a bit of running and stuff like that. Hiking, it's perfect for it. When it's there. But get up, get the minibus, which takes about 20 minutes to get to the big bus. Get on the big bus for about an hour, which is great because I can sleep. Yes. And then get off the bus, sometimes have breakfast first, and then take the underground, the MTR to the office. So it's about 2 hours from leaving the door to the office. Okay. But I will try and grab some breakfast for me. Get into the office, just turn on the computer, answer emails, do the job you have to do. Okay. My job's quite interesting because it's business development. Try not to spend too much time in the office. Get out and promote the business. Entertaining lunch. And then end of the day, usually we'll pop into a bar and have something to eat and play some pool or have a beer, meet up with flatmate and then just enjoy it and go home. But don't normally get home on an average night before 9, 10 o'clock. Just get in, shower, chill out a bit, go to bed, do it all again.
So when you do sports, it's mostly on the weekends and...
Yeah, because it's just by the time we finish work at 5, even if you went straight home, you wouldn't be home before 7, and it's just hot and dark. But it's possible to go out and do cycling and stuff like that, but generally don't. Tired. The weekends is good. And
just last question, to give an idea to people who would like maybe to give it a try to come over here, what would you recommend as a necessary budget for a month? For let's say a couple or a family of 4?
What they need to earn?
Yeah. If, let's say you come from Europe or from the US and you want to have a decent life here.
I think if you're coming here with a job, you should do your research first. You need to get a decent budget. If you're a married couple with kids, you're going to need to earn a lot of money. You're going to need to earn over $100,000 a month, 10,000 euros a month, minimum to sustain the lifestyle you have. If you want to live on the island, that's probably not going to be enough. If you're looking at rent of 40,000, 25 to 40,000 for a small place. Schooling is going to cost you 11,000 Hong Kong dollars per month to an international school. So I can tell you, my daughter just finished school, but she's going to university. So I mean, the school fees at an ESF school, I was paying $11,000 a month just for the school fees. Then you've got to buy the laptop, you've got to get to school, you've got to have food and drink. So a kid's going to cost you with clothes somewhere $18,000 to $20,000 a month. So your $100,000, 40 on rent, 40 on that, it's not going to be enough, really, if you want a quality lifestyle. If you want to move out to the New Territories, 100,000 is great, because you can get the rent for 10,000, 20,000. But you're going to need something like that, I think. If you're coming out here as a single person, you can live on 20,000 Hong Kong. You can, I mean, you won't be able to go out buying expensive dinners all the time, but you can survive, definitely. It would be nice to earn 40, but 20 would be, I think, the minimum to have a reasonable life as a single person. You struggle. I think
so for somebody who just finishes his studies, for instance, and want to give it a try to come to Asia?
I mean, there's loads of cheap accommodation. You can live in hostels really cheaply, share, which will save you money, and you can get work with a teacher or something like that. You just want to try it.
So you'd say go ahead?
Definitely. Look, you'll see it, I think you know, that people that come to Hong Kong, they have a taste for the life. It's fast, it's fun, it's a great social life. People don't want to go home. Pretty much people do not want to leave Hong Kong. And they see it all the time. Talking to a guy yesterday, he's been here a year and a half. He brought 3 friends over 6 months ago. 2 of them have come back to live here. They quit their jobs and just come over. The third one's trying to get rid of his girlfriend so he can come over. That's it, you know?
Do you think it's still easy to find a job? Because
if you haven't got any real responsibilities, if you're a single person, boy or girl, and you have some contacts here, there's definitely loads of work here. You can do anything. If you can speak English or a foreign language, you can teach.
So for you, everything is possible.
I think so, yes. But again, you have to go back to what I was saying. You have to come in with a really open mind and be prepared to do anything. You know, you can get a job being a financial advisor. The money's rubbish, the commission's great. It's really tough. You have to have 3 months, 4 months worth of money behind you because you're not going to make any money. But come over here, open mind, prepared to do anything. Yeah, you'll enjoy it. You really enjoy it.
Brilliant. Thank you very much.
Send my fees to.
One day, baby, we'll be old. So baby, we'll be old and think about the stories that we could have